Okay, so today we're going to do some problem solving. So typically that means word problems. Sometimes the problems that you can use this strategy for show up in tables or other kind of graphics. But today we're going to look at word problems. And this is a fantastic strategy because there are some common errors that people make while they're solving proportion problems. And if you follow this strategy, you're way less likely to make those mistakes. Okay, so let's just call it WKUs. Um, the WKU is what we're going to look at today, and the S is kind of thrown in there to just solve at the end. So you can just think of the S as the solving step. Okay. So what does WKUs actually mean? Well, it is the problem-solving strategy for proportions, remember. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a ratio or rate with words, actually. So we're going to use the units of measure or the names of the things that we're counting, and we're just going to set up what looks like a fraction. It's going to be a ratio or rate just with the words. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is in the problem, they will give us um, both both parts of a ratio or rate so that we will have one ratio or rate and understand the relationship between those. Okay. And then they're going to give us like half of the next ratio or rate. And then they're going to ask us to find an equivalent one, right? And set up a proportion. And so that's where the variable comes in. So we're first going to set up the words, then we're going to set up the ratio or rate that we know for sure, and then we're going to set up the one that we don't know. It's the unknown. So that's where the WKU stands for. And then, of course, we'll solve at the end. So let's look at some examples. After their first 3 games, the Panthers had 66 first downs total. If they continued at this rate, how many downs should they have after 17 games this season? Okay, so let's look at that again in the context of this strategy. So the first thing I want to do is I want to think about what are the words, right? What are the things that we're measuring or comparing? Are there units of measure? Are we just counting things? What's happening here? And I see that we have games and first downs. So when I set up my first ratio or rate, I'm going to have games on top and first downs on the bottom. Okay. The next thing I notice is that they do give me a full on rate here. They say 3 games, 66 first downs. So after the first 3 games, they had 66 first downs. So now here's the part you got to be a little bit careful about. Make sure you put things in the right place. So if I say in my word ratio or rate that games goes on top, then games is going to be on top and the first downs are going to be on the bottom. That's so important to remember. Okay, so I have 3 games, so I should have the 3 on top, and the 66 is the first downs. That goes on the bottom. Okay, now my unknown, it says how many first downs should they have after 17 games? So the first downs is going to be the variable. And I know that it's 17 games. So ask yourself, is the 17 going to go on top or the bottom? If it's 17 games, it's going to go on top, just like the word rate is set up. Okay, so there we go. That is how we establish the proportion. And then we're going to do some cross multiplying like we practiced to solve it. So you can see here, we've got the 66 across from the 17, so we're going to multiply those. And then we have the 3x. The 3 and the x are also diagonally across from each other. So we have 66 times 17 equals 3x. Then when we multiply 66 by 17, we get 1,122. We still have that 3x, but now we're going to divide by 3 to get the x by itself, and we end up with 374 equals x. Okay, so make sure you have a sentence to answer the question. The question was, how many first downs should they have after 17 games? So my sentence is, the Panthers will have 374 first downs if they continue at this rate. Okay, let's look at the next one. The girls' volleyball team is having a car wash to raise money for new uniforms. If they made $75 in 2 hours, how long will they have to wash cars in order to raise the $262.50 they need total? So we can already start thinking about what kind of a rate is this? What two things are we comparing? Okay? Think that to yourself. What are the two units of measure or things that we're counting here? We're counting dollars and hours. Counting dollars and hours, and we're comparing those. So the known ratio, it says right there, they made $75 in 2 hours. So they did give me one of them. That's completely filled out. And that's a rate because we have dollars and hours, and those aren't the same unit. And then they give us $262.50. So the trick here again is figuring out, is that $262.50 going to go on the top or the bottom? That's why we love the word rate, because it says dollars are on top. So we know that that $262.50 is going to go on top. Okay, and the variable, the unknown, will go on the bottom because it's asking us how long, right? How many hours. Okay, so we're going to do some cross multiplication. We're going to multiply 2 times 262.50 and 75 times x, and those two are going to equal each other. So 2 times 262.50 is 525, and then we have the 75x, but we want the x by itself. So we're going to divide by 75, and we get 7. So my sentence answer is they will need to work 7 hours to earn the money they need. Okay, so here's a problem for you. What I would like you to do is either on a doc that you just kind of submit to me, or by hand and then take a picture, doesn't matter. I would like you to do this problem. So if you want to pause the video after I'm done talking, I'll let you know. I'll say you can pause the video now and just have this on your screen, and then you can solve the problem using the new strategy that you've learned. Okay? So you're going to show all your steps. You're going to write a sentence for your answer, and then you're going to get that information to me somehow. So I bought 15 bagels for $24. How much would I pay if I bought 12 bagels? Make sure you set up a word rate. Make sure you set up the known rate, and then make sure you set up the unknown rate. Cross multiply and solve. Okay? All right, you can pause the video now to solve this problem.